Hello, everybody, and welcome. We are recording. We are here again today with somebody who probably doesn't need any introduction, but we will introduce her anyway. Danni Smith.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you.
Many of you, if you have contacted Reiki Lifestyle or been to any Reiki Lifestyle things, such as our distance Reiki share and our Q&A podcasts, have either talked to Danni or, she's led some of our things like that and always is a part of our circles as she is a part of the Reiki Lifestyle team. She is a practitioner with us and also just a jack of all trades with the Reiki Lifestyle team. And so we're so excited to have you on the podcast today, Danni.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, so as we start with everyone, why don't we start with your story and your Reiki story? How did you get into Reiki in the first place? And then how did you find Colleen? So, little FF for everybody. Danni started with Reiki Lifestyle professionally before I did, right? Like,
Hmm.
yeah, that's what I thought I remember. So she's been
I think
with
2010 or so.
yeah, yeah. So anyways, why don't we start with you and go from there.
Okay, so my name is Dannielle Smith. I go by Danni for all my friends. And yeah, I've been working with Reiki Lifestyle since like 2010 or 11. Well, my first classes were in 2010 and 11. And then I started working with Colleen after that. But a little um, before story is the reason I got into Reiki um, is my because of my mother. My mother was one of the few people in 2006, 2005, 2006 who was a member of Death with Dignity in Oregon. And I think that Oregon was probably the first state that legalized this. And actually, even when she was going through it, they were going back and forth legally. But she was one of the first people. And so back then, I worked in construction project management as a business development coordinator. So I was very like, okay, what are we doing? Are we doing this? Are we doing that? She's like, well, I'm doing this. I'm like, what? And so it was very emotional and confusing. And so when we processed that, I was after that, I was like, what? It was just so interesting to go through that process. And I felt really like I wasn't contributing at all. And so after that, I had gone to Sedona for a women's retreat and still going through the grief of my mother. And we walked into a crystal store, and my friends and I walked through it. My friend knew the owner, and she's like, "Oh, you're gonna love this." And I didn't know. I was like kind of negative at that point. Didn't really want to be uplifted or anything. And so we went in this crystal shop, and the owner, who is Michael and Laurel, which some of you may know, which I didn't know them at all. And they're like, "Hey, welcome. I have a Reiki class that no one is using today. If you girls want to go in, go shopping around and come back and meet and put your bags down or just, have some lunch, I'm opening this space to you." And so he took us into his Reiki room or his classroom. And there was, huge crystals, I don't know, 3 feet tall, really big crystals and chairs on the floor and very spiritual. I'm like, what is happening? I walked in and I asked him, I go, why do I feel really emotional? And he goes, it's Reiki. I'm like, I don't know what that is. And he goes, it's energy. I'm like, okay. But it was very interesting day. And then he was like, oh, I'm going to if you guys want to listen to a psychic, I have a psychic and all these really aura readings and all this stuff. It's really fun Sedona stuff. And so I left there and I don't know, like months later, a year later, one of my friends that was with me, she goes, there's this really amazing Reiki teacher in Portland where you live. I'm going to come there. Do you want to go with me? And I said, no, I do not. I'm not interested. I'm in my construction management role. you go ahead, you can stay with me, you can go and take the class, and I'm all for it. And so she did. She came here to Oregon. She went to Colleen's class, and she came and she was staying with me, and she goes, you have to do this. You will love it. It's going to make so much sense to you. I know you're very logical, but you're going to love it. And I said, no. She's like, okay. And so another year went by, I think, maybe. And then she wouldn't let me go. She's like, she even came back and took the master class. She goes, I mean, she'd be raking her food and raking me. And then I'm like, what is happening to this lady? Right. And so finally I'm like, I'm going to do it. Let me just go and try it. And so, I took my first class, and back then you could take either just a Reiki 1 class, like a 1-day class, or you could take Reiki 1 and 2 together. And I'm like, I'll do Reiki 1. I can do 1 day. And it was very interesting because when I went, which was, a few miles away from where I lived, in that class, it just happened to be these Karuna Reiki masters just retaking and reviewing a class. I don't even think you remember that, Colleen, but it was all these Reiki, people coming in like, oh, yeah. They all knew each other. And I was just there. I'm like, I don't know anything that's happening. And and then you guys were all talking about stuff I didn't know, but I felt so connected and so calm. And like when I was young, I was never religious, but I went to every church in our tiny small town because I'm like, what are they saying? And what are they saying? And what are they saying? And I never felt connected, but I loved the people, and I loved that everybody just was together. And that's how I felt. I'm like, wow, this is kind of like church, but they're not talking about religion. And so I was really interested. And so I ended up taking the next day, and I told Colleen, I go, can I take the next day? And she said, people do that often. They think they're only going to take 1 day, and they end up taking both days, which now it's a 2-day class, thankfully. And during that time, one of the people that was in your class, Colleen, was a colleague you had from New York. And she did Reiki on me. And she went right to my jaw. And I thought, God, do I look physically like I have a jaw problem? But she went right. She goes, oh, you have do you have some issues here and here? And I'm like, yeah, for like ever since I was in high school. And she gave me Reiki, I am not kidding, for 15 minutes. And I have never had an issue since. Never. I mean, I went to TMJ specialist. I had mouth guards for a zillion years. I had to sleep with 4 pillows so I didn't lay back. It was gone. And so I was a believer. I'm like, what is happening? That's so crazy. And so then I found out that I could volunteer Reiki at cancer clinics, which is taking me back to my mom. I'm like, what can I do? I felt like I was no help. And so I found out I could volunteer. And so that's how I got started. That's how I pursued it. I was very curious because I was one of back then, I need to see it to believe it mode. And I'm way different now. But back then I was like, I don't know, prove it again. And let me see this. It was kind of like a little spiritual magic because I was like, this is so interesting how this is working, and how I brought it back to my family, as we all get very excited when most of us get very excited when we learn this. So I brought it back to my family, and even back then, I think 9-year-old daughter or less, maybe 8-year-old daughter, I'm like, ooh, this is so exciting. She's so relaxed now because I was relaxed. Right. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. And back then at the time, my husband was like, can you give me Reiki? I'm like, they were just pulling it in. And so I just felt so excited about it. So that's how I got pulled in. I mean, I was like, it just didn't make sense to me. I was just very curious. And when I took that first class with Colleen, it was very interesting too, because Colleen went around the room and she goes, so why are you guys here? Why what do you want to learn Reiki for and stuff? And I told her my little Sedona experience. I'm like, I went to this place in Sedona, it was so cool. And she was like, oh, cool. And as we were sitting there, she has Reiki news magazines on her coffee table for us to take. And so I was just thumbing through it. And the back of it was like an ad or something. I'm like, well, these are the people. This is the guy. And she goes, well, yeah, it's Michael. It's, my colleague, one of my very good friends. I'm like, and that's the lady, and that's you. I'm like, ah. So everything's like exploding into serendipity. And so that was kind of my first, I'm like, very curious. And let's see where this takes me.
Well, and then from my end, I was just at the place with Reiki Lifestyle where I really needed help. As many of you that are listening and you need some assistance, you need some help, and trying to find the right person. And I was listening and listening and listening. And then the Danni popped into my mind and possibilities. And oh, actually, we did my very first podcast was with you and Janine.
Janine, yeah.
You and Janine. And that was back before Zoom or anything. So Robin's husband, Sean, came, got us all set up with all the microphones, everything. And we had no idea what we were doing or why we were doing it. Sean said, you need to do this, and Robin. And so we did the podcast. And then after that, I was like, who can I get to help? And Danni popped in, and we've been working together ever since.
Yeah,
And
that was such
yeah.
interesting timing. And yes, I remember that. It was really funny, just sitting in your living room and talking how we're talking now, basically, right? It's the same thing. And so it was really interesting. And then ironically, I had been working at that construction project management firm for over 15 years. And the owner decided to retire, and I was basically his assistant. And so I'm like, ooh, what am I going to do now? And then Colleen had contacted me and she said, hey, would you be interested in helping me out? I have so many emails and classes and I know you're in admin and computers. And I'm like, well, that's interesting timing. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do that. And it was really like maybe an hour a day when it first started. She's like, oh, you just do it, whenever it works for you. I'm like, okay. And then, um, meanwhile, it was getting a little bit busier, and meanwhile, I uh, got a divorce. I was going through divorce, and same time, I got a Reiki practice in this really amazing, cool historical wellness center. It's my dream come true. And so all these things, all these balls are in the air, and I had this a great room. I had sessions. I kind of felt like an imposter because I was going through such a deep personal drama. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I have exactly what I've been praying for. And yet I don't feel authentic, even though it all worked out. Reiki knew what to do. My clients were all completely fine and loved it. It was me. It was the timing. And so again, I just want to talk about timing with Reiki is sometimes we're like, it should be happening now. I have my space. I have a plan. I know how to do a session. I have my marketing. I have everything down, and it's just not flowing. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? Why I have everything. I'm even working with Colleen Benelli. I mean, what is wrong? And so that was a kind of it's interesting to bring Reiki into that is be like, just be patient and really look at the shoulds as you talk, say it is like, I should be doing this. Oh my God, I have every ingredient for this amazing recipe in front of me. And yet I'm deciding to not do it. And so it took a lot of time to figure out. And so just basically after that, moving and getting through the relationship, your business with you was growing. And so looking back on it, it's like, oh, what great timing, right? It's like I talk with my clients, it's like release space, make room, and then what's going to come in. So when I was releasing space and moving on, then I was like, ooh, now I'm getting busier, and now I'm getting busier. And it just works. Looking back on it, it's like, it makes me smile because it's like, it all makes so much sense. But at the time, it doesn't. And that's a lot of times, that's why people even have, come to Reiki classes or want Reiki sessions, is because nothing's really making sense. All these balls are in the air, and you have all these opportunities and choices, and you kind of frozen, right? It's like, what do I do? And as you guys created, what's the next step? That's perfect. It's like, you have this information, but what do you do now? And that's where I was. It was like growing, and obviously very grateful for all the growth.
Danni, looking back with what you were saying with having that level of imposter syndrome because you had these really big personal things going on, and um what advice, maybe I'm trying to formulate the question. I don't know what my question exactly is, but looking back on that time period now, what are your thoughts? Because I think so many people can relate to that, because really we have this Reiki practice, and that doesn't change what things happen to us in our personal life completely. Like, there are things that we don't have control over. And so now, what would you maybe say to yourself back then, or maybe just understand about it differently now than you did back then?
Yeah, again, now it kind of makes me smile. And it actually helps me in my sessions when I'm talking with clients that are feeling stuck or feeling guilt or something, like, oh my gosh, I have all this and I'm not doing anything. It really helps me to just desist or give my 2 cents about it. Is feeling when we take that, I mean, Colleen's talked about this too, is like, sometimes, like when we're doing a presentation and we're getting nervous, it's really not about us. And that's exactly the whole situation. It wasn't about me. So looking back on those sessions, I mean, I had this really amazing younger, like 7-year-old boy. And that was I remember it so well. And he could care less, right? He really loved our weekly sessions, and he even told me, I'm going to do Reiki. I'm going to do Reiki because it just made, it just was really fulfilling. And so that's what I remember now. At the time, I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope this kid can't see through me, because at the time I'm like, oh my gosh, I wanted to cry, putting the Reiki music on. And then, but again, it just shows you it's not us doing the work, right? It's Reiki is kind of like, just step out of the way and let me do my thing. And so, and again, even after that, um, another imposter syndrome feeling was, I had learned with Colleen with all my classes multiple times. And even when she started the Next Step classes, and I was like, well, I really can't teach because I don't teach like Colleen. Colleen is so experienced. Her stories come out of her mouth like little songs. She doesn't have to think about it. And I know it didn't start that way, Colleen, but that was my perception. My perception is like, what am I doing? There's no way. Why would someone come to me if they can go to a person that is so eloquent talking, and the angels on the four corners are, and I'm like, I don't know what the angels in the four corners are. Like, I was so like, oh no, you just stay kind of down here. You don't have to do any of that. Just just do, go to Reiki shares, and with my friends. And it wasn't until after actually taking the Next Step classes, in all honesty, even after the Karuna classes, which I love, um, taking those next step classes and um, getting confidence. I mean, it was like, well, yeah, we're going to learn how to journey. I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, oh, actually, I do that all the time. I call them dreams. That's how I do it. When I get into a session, it's a dream. I'm like, I don't know you, or I don't know what's going on. I'm like, oh, that's how I can do it. So it's not in someone else's certain way, it's my way. And so that imposter syndrome kind of was like, started melting, started defrosting. It was what makes sense to me. So what makes sense to me, I talk in my talk. I'm not as, loving and spiritual sounding maybe, but I'm like to the point kind of. I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? What's your thing? What do you want to let go of? What do you want to bring in? Let's hop to it, kind of being silly, but um little less impatient at the time. Like, what do we need? Learned a lot with Colleen. I remember when I first started working for her and answering emails, and she would tell me, you had the best, that was exactly the right answer. But you can kind of calm it down a little bit, be a little bit more, not so direct. Because I'm used to working with engineers and it's either right or wrong, right? I'm like, yeah, I told you 3 times, this is what you can do. And she's like, just tone it down a bit. So I learned a lot. And so with Reiki over the years, it's like listening. That listening came in. So the feeling of like I wasn't adequate it's really gone away. I mean, it's like to the most part. Because now I slow down, maybe not my speak, but in my mind, I slow down and I can listen. I can ignite my dreams, which are journeys to some people, and go from there. And I don't know. I mean, everybody is different for sure and how they do it. And there's no right way or wrong way, but that's my way.
Well, I remember us talking years ago too about really, and for the listeners, really understanding that you can have Reiki practices without having a Reiki business. And if you have a Reiki business, you will still have a Reiki practice. And of course, with your timing with all of it, you had your daughter to raise, you moved, went through a huge life transformation, and your timing wasn't really there for like to develop a full Reiki business, quote unquote, for those who can't see me doing the quote marks. And so I remember you having that kind of epiphany of, oh, I have Reiki practices and I am contributing with Reiki, with the work that you do with Reiki Lifestyle, that it had such a tremendous meaning. And regardless of whether it's because it was a Reiki business, but anybody in their work can
Right.
apply Reiki and their practices in their way. And that piece of it, Reiki your way, I remember that like, oh, wait, I have it my way. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was like a weight being lifted when I had that moment. Um, it was because I was like, okay, like I have all the ingredients, and now I'm even working more for you. I'm like, oh my gosh, Colleen's gonna, help me. And it's like, why wouldn't I do that? I'm like, it just didn't click. I mean, I remember doing vision boards. I'm like, I'm gonna have a Reiki class, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna go over here, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if that's clicking with me. And then so I was kind of feeling a little bit of guilt and like I just was giving up in a way. And then when we had some class, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm doing Reiki every day. Like some of the people in our class be like, oh yeah, I do Reiki once a week, or I do Reiki once a month, or which is all great. All of it's amazing. And I'm like, I think I do Reiki every day, like every day. Because every weekday I'm in working with Reiki Lifestyle, And on the weekends, just you bring it in. I'm like, I'm actually doing it almost every day, all day, because I'm talking about it. We do invocations all the time, whether it's work or distance shares or classes. I feel like it's sessions in all these classes, or even the distance Reiki share. That is a session. For those of you who haven't tried it, you're basically getting a session, because it is an invocation and it's a talk. And I'm telling you, it's going to resonate no matter if you're going through health, relationship, career, world event. It's going to resonate. And so it's so calming. And so I just feel so grateful that I feel like I'm in sessions like most of my life right now. And so, yeah, I gave myself a break, and I'm like, what can I do now with what I do with Reiki? And it might not be a place of business. I might not have people coming in, especially after COVID. I did have people coming in and after COVID. And so I'm like, what can I do? And so now, thankfully, distance Reiki sessions are amazing, and topics and connection, and our community, your community, all Reiki communities are just so valuable. And so, yeah, just you might be a hairdresser or a massage therapist or a therapist, or work in a vet clinic, or be a mother, or do none of that in Reiki just for you. It doesn't have to be, I took a class and now I have to have a business that way. It doesn't have to be with a storefront. It doesn't have to be with a website. It does not have to be with all of that. It can just be your way. And from the people that I know, we start out small. I mean, I started out small, like with a Reiki share, like 8 people. That's worked for me. I didn't need to go any bigger at that point. It worked for me, and it's spreading. And I even have a request now. It's just to start that back up. It's like, okay, we're ready, and doing what you can do. I mean, I went and volunteered. That was a really big thing for me. That was my main reason for learning Reiki. I can go volunteer at the cancer clinic. And so I did in Portland, and did that for a couple of years. And then ironically moved down to Eugene, which is south of Portland, and volunteered in the clinic where my mom was, where I sat there and I didn't feel like I could help her at all. And then became the Reiki coordinator for that clinic. I mean, it's just like, what is happening? So then I would bring people on to do Reiki in this clinic. And so it just is very fulfilling, really fulfilling, doing it your way.
Well, I even remember as you were commenting about, going through the process again for anybody listening, and you need an assistant, and then how do you figure out the working together, but how this applies to your answering emails and what you said about learning how to listen. So that's one of the big pieces with the communications, is that listening skill behind the question, and then the words that you use to reply. And so where I'm going with that is, I think that's was also another big piece of your Reiki practice, was that ability to really learn how to listen into the questions people were asking, listen within yourself, listen with Reiki, and how you reply to people too.
Same,
Absolutely.
same girl, same.
Oh, okay.
The same
Yeah,
teaching, and
I
also
probably have.
the directness with email. Sometimes Danni and I back and forth and just be like, yep, yep. But we put a little smiley face just to know we've got the context.
Always,
We've got the
always.
context that I mean this in a very nice way.
I actually even think about that when I put the smiley face every time. I'm like, they have to be over the smiley face, but I want it to not
No,
be in the tone that it
I'm
might
not
sound
over
like.
smiley faces.
exactly. And an exclamation point, just so you really know that I am meaning this in the best way.
Exactly. It took it. I learned so much, and like I said, I worked for a construction project manager at first. It was like I knew how to market, I knew how to talk to people, I knew how to interview people, I knew how to take care. I was the president's assistant, executive assistant. I knew how to do all that, but it was like harsh and fast and furious and right or wrong. And so
One
working,
sentence.
yeah. Oh my gosh. And I have to just tell this story because it's really funny. So when I first learned Reiki, I think after Reiki 2, um, and I was working in this firm still, and I'm like, because I thought back then it was like my little party trick, my little personal party trick Reiki was. I'm like, oh, how can I, And so I remember my supervisor was like walking down the hallway. I could tell I'm like, oh boy, here we go. What's it gonna be? And he came in and I just like, okay, I'm putting Reiki all around my door frame. Reiki is all around my door frame. And he walked in and he goes, I forgot why I came in. I'm like, oh, he goes, okay. And he turned around and walked out. I'm like, oh my God, this is so exciting. Oh my God, it's so exciting. So it was really fun for me. But yeah, I learned and I love it, Colleen, now. I mean, I love speaking to everybody. I mean, you and Robyn have many, many emails, many messages, many phone messages. Um, you guys you're just so good at responding to your past students, to anybody that inquires. Your distance Reiki share, your Q&A podcast folks. You're just really good about that. And I love that. I love it. And so now it's my passion really is to answer that. I mean, some people are like, really? You like that? I'm like, I love it. I can talk all day long about what their questions are. I mean, the other day I was like, I'm not really sure about animal Reiki because I'm really allergic to animals. I'm like, oh, let me just tell you. I was allergic to animals too. I mean, my whole life I had shots every Monday for animals. And when I was in Sedona those zillion years ago for my Reiki, reveal, I had gone into I don't know, a aura reading, and the report came back, you're going to be working with animals. It's really good. That if you work with animals, you're going to be very satisfied. I'm like, are you kidding me? There's no way. I mean, I love animals, but I just couldn't even be around them because I was just so allergic. And so anyway, I was just talking to this person and I'm like, told her that story. I go, for one thing, with animal Reiki, you're mostly not near the animal or touching the animal. You don't have to be. I go, and two, I go, you're going to be very pleasantly surprised that even if you are, your allergies might be okay. I'm not a medical person. I'm just saying with a different mindset, you never know. Because I grew up my whole entire life with allergies to animals. And now I can't, they can't get away from me. And so it's very interesting. So just stuff like that, conversations like that. Or, some of the conversations are I'm registered for this class and my parent passed away or my pet passed away and I don't think this is a good timing for me whatsoever. And that's fine and that's true and I hear that. And then to be able to talk to these, some of these people, it's like perfect timing to be in this energy and especially, just loving energy and to kind of get out of everyday life for a few days and just bring in your energy and your belief and your trust because people just don't call or email to learn about Reiki if that's not already a seed, in my opinion.
It's something, and we can talk more about this, but I just want to also say something that I want to make sure that we clarify too is that, yes, that is all a part of the team aspect that you are part of here at Reiki Lifestyle, but you are also a practitioner with Reiki
Yes.
Lifestyle. So I want to, because we talked about that. And then, as you were raising Tatum and that whole thing, you had to kind of be in a different role, but now you are, practictioning. And I just heard you say that you're maybe getting your Reiki circle back together in Eugene, and those kinds of things too. But I want to make sure we put that practitioner part in there because she does do that too.
Yes, and I actually wanted to talk about the evolvement of
Yeah.
Reiki. Yeah,
Yeah.
for each person, right? Everybody has their own evolvement.
Yeah, no, please
So
do.
when mine started, obviously it was like, okay, I'm going to go to a class. Okay, I'm going to go to a Reiki share. Okay, it's like little steps. I'm a little step person. And then even with it, with you two, it's like my role has changed, right? It's like I did social media, for instance, or newsletters, or all these things. And at first I was like, oh, we can get different people to do that, which is time. And I'm like, what's happening, oh my gosh. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I actually did go into Reiki and be like, okay, this is evolvement. This is like, what more can I be doing? I mean, I loved what I did or do, and I still can do that. But I was like, whoa, okay, well, let me just expand a bit. And so been doing sessions. Sessions is my passion right now. I love it, love it, love it. So I do sessions online. I do them in person if you're in Eugene area, Oregon. Animal Reiki, totally passionate about. So my aura reader back in 2000s be like very happy with herself that she told me I'd be working with animals. Because I love it. So my sessions, there's a lot with animal Reiki as well. I really do plan on teaching animal Reiki here in Eugene in person because I live on an area with a lot of animals. So that's on my list of things to do. And yeah, and evolving even with Reiki Lifestyle. So for instance, we have a consultation page now, a consultation button. So if you're interested, you don't really need a session, but you were like, what class do I take? I've taken a class, now what? Or animal Reiki, really? I mean, it's any question you have, and it's a free 15-minute consultation, which, okay, 15 minutes, let's be real. But it's a 15-minute consultation, and I'm happy to talk with you and answer questions. And if I can't, Colleen and Robyn are happy too. But I love that. Like, as you can tell, I can sit and talk about, I'm air. I can talk and talk and talk and answer questions and give you ideas, even if you don't have them. I love to motivate people. A lot of my sessions have to do, ironically, I thought it was going to do a lot with health. And it's really like, I would say 90% with business, Reiki business, like promoting their Reiki business. Like, oh, I haven't done Reiki in a while. I don't know how to get started. Oh, it's not, and just be like reminding clients if they have Reiki, they have it. It's never going away. And especially reminding them to do it their way. What is their unique gift? What comes very easy to talk about? For some people, it could be about animals. For some people, it could be about health. For some people, it could be about relationships or kids or parenting. What comes really easy to you? Because I'm telling you, those are the clients that are going to come to you. It's just interesting. And so instead of trying to like recreate everything, just be like, okay, I already know Reiki. And if you don't, maybe learn it. Maybe it's interesting you even now. It's like, what is going on? I mean, I think especially a lot of people that are just ready for that next level of life. It's like, what can I do? I've done this so much. I have all these experiences, and for my question for me was like, who am I? I feel like there's a lot more for me to learn. And so that's what started opening up my bubble. And then things started moving along. But it's I don't know. I think it's just really it's a great avenue, and it's great avenue because it's very simple. So for me, why I didn't go to church and have religion is because for me, there was a lot of rules, and there was a lot of, you can do this, but you can't do that. or you have to come on this day and you can't come until then. And there's like, you can't eat the wafer if you can. And I'm like, ah! There's like so many rules. And so with Reiki, for me, I'm like, whoa, yes, yes, there are boundaries for sure. And I can handle that. But there's not the like, you should. And if you don't do it this way, oh my gosh, you can't wear rings if you do Reiki. I'm like, well, I wear rings and I'm going to do Reiki and it works and it's amazing. And so stuff like that. It's just, having boundaries, which is why I do like the ICRT for me, is because they have it's guidelines. It's like, you're not just going to become a licensed teacher because you want to. It's like, okay, you can do that, but there's going to be, it's going to take some time. Or if you want to be an affiliate or a professional member, yes, absolutely. And there's going to be a few little boundaries, but I think that for the most part, for all part, they're easy and you can still be you. And you can, like I say, tell your experience and utilize your experience, through your Reiki.
Well, it's a natural code of ethics that,
Yeah.
whenever, because we always teach the code of ethics in the class, and I always feel like, well, these are kind of normal code of ethics. And, but I think most of all, the message is there are a lot of right ways to do Reiki. And
Mm-hmm.
really, the only big way you shouldn't do Reiki is if you're out of integrity. If you're out of integrity, touching inappropriately, things like,
All right.
or, diagnosing if you don't have a license and that kind of thing. But the other thing I think I'm interested in hearing from you too, Danni, we've talked about over the years, is you really evolved your Reiki practices through a lot of life transitions and transformation. And I think that that contributes to the timing of everything. And so, being friends through this whole process with you, with the change in your marriage, the moving, raising your daughter growing up and her moving, and now she's married and a grown woman and all of those things. So, can you kind of talk about how it really helped you, I think, stabilize even in the moments of like, oh, what is happening? Because we talk a lot, so I
Yes,
hear that part of you, but also how you used Reiki, and you talk about how it helped you with all those life transitions so much.
for sure. And yes, Colleen was my, thank goodness, a phone call away a lot of times because I'm like, ah, she's like, okay, let's do it invocation. I'm like, thank goodness. Okay. Yeah. And I even had, a couple of years ago, I had, I fell and had health issues for 2 years. And so I, broke my tip of my elbow off, broke my collarbone and my wrist on one side. And so it was a 2 year long, multiple surgery process. And I mean, not only Reiki, but our Reiki community got me through that. It
Yeah.
was, I was, at that time my daughter had moved away, and it was me. I'm like, whoa. And I could not do hardly anything for myself. I'm talking, I mean, I had like this contraption on. It was like a transformer thing on my arm. I mean, I could not move. I couldn't type. I had to learn how to do like even our work with the audio, which is really super fun. And I mean, just like a lot of things. I mean, I could not shower. I could not do much. I mean, luckily I'm right-handed, so I go to the restroom, but there was a lot of things I couldn't do. I mean, my hair didn't get done for 2 years. I mean, my boyfriend really aggressively would put it in a ponytail or a bun. I'm like, I was like this. I had like a facelift for like 2 years, which is really sweet. But it was like, but the Reiki community, I remember, just on the distance Reiki shares or our Reiki classes, and just being in community and having that. you know, everybody come together and feeling that energy. That was really helpful. It was just super helpful of having that. And yes, and all the changes. I mean, all the different things going on, the moves and the life changes. And I mean, I felt like I was in chaos a lot. And just to help Reiki, helping to bring that chaos down a little bit and be like, okay, let's be in the moment. No, let's and looking back, it kind of, again, it makes me smile. I'm like, okay, knowing what I know now, it's like, oh, if I could have just let myself know that. And so I'm better at that now. So now, earlier when I said I need to see it to believe it, now I believe it, like you said, Colleen, I believe it before I need to see it. I mean, I just know. I mean, like, especially when something's a little wonky, a little chaotic, a little unknown, whether again, it's health or relationship or kids or anything. And you're like, how is this going to pan out? How is this going to work out? And now, like, you know, with our tools, my tools, you know, I do have Reiki guides. I do have Reiki friends. I mean, I've met over the years. I am able to talk to people, you know, you two included. I am able to vent and be like, well, this is happening. And be like, oh yeah, yes. And it's, you know, what can we do? What can we do? And if there's nothing we can do, then we can not get into that worry mode, you know. Was there anything else you were thinking? Oh, I can also talk um, the belief, you know, like talking about animal Reiki, is I have had multiple stories about that, of calling Colleen and be like, oh my God, my cat's gone. My cat's gone. It's my daughter's cat. I lost her cat when she was on visitation with her dad. Oh my God, guilt. And looking for the cat for over a week. And Colleen's like, call on Reiki. And we did. And I'm like, oh, I can't believe it. Oh my God, I can't believe I did this. And finding the cat and it being very hurt. And then calling Colleen like, oh my God, they want to amputate her leg. I'm like, ah. She's like, take a pause. Take a pause. Invite Reiki again, right? It's like, I'm like, you don't have to make a decision at this moment. And I did. And I never had to amputate her leg. The vet couldn't hardly believe it. Even now, to this day, many years later, she's like, okay, I remember you know. And with my other cat, the same thing. Take it in to be euthanized after being so sick for so long. And this is so sad. And going in and turning Reiki music on and doing Reiki, and the cat jumps out of his crate and starts licking himself and has been fine ever since. Knocking on wood too. Thank you, Reiki. But it's just those kind of things where it's like, to me, it's like the lowest of low. Like, this is so devastating. How am I going to get through this? And I don't know, for me to call on my Reiki, but my Reiki community, you know, I mean, I've met so many amazing people in our community, and I can text them. I can even think about them. You know, that happens a lot. And you know, the people I'm talking about, it's like I can think about them, and all of a sudden they text me with a funny meme or a heart or something. And so that the connection is just great.
That'll probably happen today.
It
Yeah,
will.
because all three of us know who some of the people you're thinking of.
Yeah.
And you know, that also has been another significant part that you have contributed is um, you know, the continual development and evolution of our Reiki community that we just believe so strongly in at this time in the world. We need community. And it's for us, it's global, and we've been so fortunate with that. And so the part about community to me is one of the biggest gifts for all of us.
Agreed. And again, here comes one of them. I was trying to leave the door open so they didn't come in.
I saw
Um,
them come in as soon as you started talking about animal Reiki.
Uh-huh.
oh
Yeah.
boy.
Is that Kimbra?
Yes.
Yeah, Kimbra. We saw her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, totally.
For those who can't see and you're just listening, that's one of Danny's cats.
She was the one that was missing for eight days. Hi, Kimbra.
Oh, I didn't
Welcome.
know that. I
Yeah,
didn't know
eight
that was
days.
Kimbra.
Yeah,
I remember the story about her missing, but I didn't know it was Kimbra.
it's Kimbra. So she had,
She was
yeah.
stuck somewhere, right? Isn't that what ended up
No,
happening?
she traveled. She got lost. She ran out of my apartment, and I lived on the river. And so she ran down the bike path, went like 2 miles, crossed a very big, busy intersection, and I had I had ads everywhere. Back then, it was like Craigslist animal search or something, and people were calling me and, oh my God, we found your cat, and it wouldn't be my cat; it'd be this poor calico cat going, it's not me. And this one day, I was finally getting like, Danny, just go on a hike and not worry about it, because I was up at 5 a.m. every morning on this river path calling her with her little tail that she loves. And this one lady goes, I thought you were a voodoo witch. And because I have my little tail, and I'm like, no, I'm looking for my cat. And anyway, so
I guess
yeah.
so. The name Kimbra.
Yeah,
Voodoo witch.
Kimbra. In fact, I'm just gonna say, so this one time, so here in Eugene, it's the country fair. It happens every year. It's this big,
All
huge
right.
thing. And after that, I was on a bus that was taking a bus load to the fair. And I was talking to somebody, and they're like, oh, how's Kimbra? And this person behind me goes, are you the person that has been yelling Kimbra for the last, so I'm like, yes. She goes, oh my gosh. She goes, every morning I heard you, Kimbra, Kimbra. I'm like, yeah, I found her. She came back. But yeah, yeah.
I love
I
it. And
love
she just walked in as soon as you started
Oh
talking
yeah,
about
she's saucy now. She's like, yeah, I'm on the streets now, so she's saucy.
Well, and you've been practicing animal Reiki both as a practitioner now for clients with their animals, but also in your neighborhood, which
Yes.
you live in the country, so neighborhood.
Yeah. It was so ironic because in 2020 when you guys had your first animal Reiki class?
Yes.
So I was able to do it in person. It was before COVID hit, and it was in Portland area, and so we were with all these beautiful horses. I mean, I think they were like 20 feet tall. They were so big. I had never been around horses that tall. It was so cool. And they were all in these beautiful stables, little, alpacas. It was amazing. Anyway, we were taught how to be around animals. And I'm like, well, no kidding, I can do it. But then being around these tall horses, I mean, my grandmother always had horses here in Eugene, but they weren't that big. And so I was like, okay. And so anyway, they would taught us our safety, right? Safety was the biggest thing that came out of it for me. And I am not even kidding you. I don't even think it was a week after I got out of that class, I had my first horse Reiki schedule. Someone called me like, do you do, Reiki on horses? I'm like, I do now. And so it was really interesting. And so I went to the stable, and this horse was big too, very big. And I just knew the safety of it because the caregiver was like, come on in. And I'm like, why do you want Reiki for this horse? I'm not walking in. Let me figure out everything. And it ended up being nice, but it was a very slow process, and it was really beautiful. But there's just no way I could have been that effective, I don't think, if I didn't have that training of safety, and also how to work with the caregiver, uh, whether it's a horse or any pet or animal. So to me, it's like this, right? To me, most of my sessions are there. It's both. It's the caregiver and the animal or the pet when it's that situation. But yeah, it was really interesting. I mean, right. And then I got another horse, like a different one. I'm like, what is happening right now? Now I'm like going all these, I had to get boots and everything. I'm like, woo, okay, here I go. And then ended up over the years working with horses and, besides dogs and cats and all kinds of interesting animals, which I love. So
We use that example of that session with the horse Danny in our classes all the
Oh,
time. The
good.
caregiver expectations and how well you managed it, actually.
Oof. Yeah. And then it ended up just being, I mean, I have pictures. It's so amazing. And I wouldn't have believed it even if I didn't see it. It's like, so I was like really like, "Ooh," and the end, but even now when, you know, and I go, he comes right up to me. He didn't let anybody touch him. And now he comes right up to me and puts his head over my shoulder and tries to, you know, give me face kisses and everything. And I've even worked with another good friend of mine and with her horse over the years and gave her horse a placement. She was end of life for her horse. And so gave her placements. And so now, not even just in my animal Reiki sessions, but even human, her name is Maya, this horse, she comes in. So whenever I'm working with an animal who is passing, Maya is there to greet. She's in the animal kingdom. She's very, very calming and welcoming and gives her a role. I think about your dog, Stella, Colleen, you know, like she liking her role on the farm. And to me, Maya is my Reiki animal guide who gives, you know, has a role of welcoming, you know, pets that are or animals that are passing on. Even like when I'm, you know, unfortunately see, you know, on the road or anything like that. I'm like, okay, Maya, here we go. And she's like, yeah, got it. Got it. So it's really fun to work, not fun, but, you know, awesome to work with.
Like an angel horse.
Angel horse. And it's really great for the caregiver to know that. I just saw the caregiver recently and I'm like, oh, Maya comes in all the time. She's so helpful. And she's like, oh, it makes me feel so good, right? She goes, that darn girl isn't coming in for me at all. I'm like, well, she's coming in for a lot of animals and actually people, you know, caregivers and stuff too. But yeah, animal Reiki. Yeah. And then where I live, I have my little neighbor animals that love so much. I have the llama and the goats and the chickens and the cows and the turkeys. Lots of love. Deer, lots of deer.
Well, where you've done the videos of the animals in the neighborhood, seeing you come down the road and coming up to you, like, yep, time for Reiki.
Yes, they love it. The chickens are just chickens and the cows are the most curious. They're so hilarious. The deer are like a little they'll stay, but they're like, okay. But the chickens are hilarious. I put a couple of videos on Reiki Lifestyle Facebook, but or Instagram. I can add more. They're really funny. I mean, I walk up, I'm like, hey, Reiki, chick, 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 Reiki. And they all come in and they all get in the line. And the little rooster, who's like the shortest little dude, so adorable. He gets front and center and they all get in a line and it's hilarious. So cute.
Funny how much the chickens like the Reiki.
They love it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, all animals do. Most animals do. I mean, my cats, you know, again, they're going to keep walking in now that I just mentioned them. That all of our animals, even the animals, you know, that we're not with, you know, that we can just send Reiki to.
Well, and like you say, the caregivers too. I think that's such a huge part of the animal Reiki. And, we always talk about how people can come to class and say, I don't want to work with people. I just want to work with animals. And animals, unless you're only working with animals in the wild or
Yeah.
animals at the zoo, you are going to be working with the caregivers. And so, can you share a little bit about that with your experience too?
Yeah. Yes. So sometimes, you know, the caregiver's like, can you just come in? I don't know what else to do. And then, and this can be even distance sessions. I've done many distance sessions too. And so they're like, well, does my animal need to be on video? I'm like, no. I mean, if it's easy, yeah, it's great. But no, it doesn't. And 90% of the time they'll come on video if they're not. I mean, they're gonna be like, what's going on? They'll come into it. But they'll tell me what's going on with their pet and then and I actually beforehand I'm like, do you want to be included in this session? And they say yes. And so and even if they don't, they're like, no, 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 it's only for me. And I'm like, okay. So you know what's going on with you? And they're like, and whatever's going on with them, I'm like, well, your animal's picking up on that, right? And especially it's interesting. Like I'm even talking about the horse caregiver, she's like, I don't even need to be here. I don't need to be here. Go ahead, you do your thing. I'm like, well, A, I'm not staying here alone with your horse. And B, I think you should stay, not even knowing anything. And so it ended up, she's like, oh my God, it makes so much sense. And it was just really interesting that a lot of times as caregivers, we just want someone to be, helped and healed. And a lot of times, even if it's a parent, right? I mean, we're like, oh gosh, I can't believe my son's doing this. Or I can't believe he's feeling this way. And like, well, what's going on with you? Because the energy goes out. And so I think I kind of include the caregiver in with most of my sessions, even when they say they don't want to be included, because they end up being included.
Yeah, the Reiki
And
energy
and
does
even
it.
if a behavioral issue or anything. Oh.
Well, what advice would you have for any of the listeners about their own Reiki practices or Reiki business?
Yeah, so it's just to get started. It is going just to get started. What does it feel? What feels okay to you? And it's okay to feel a little bit of fear, because that's really excitement. So stretch it out a little bit. But if you want to start out with, okay, I'm going to attend a Reiki share. I'm going to do that and just listen to other people, because we get information every time we listen. I mean, whenever I listen to your podcast or a podcast or a share, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I never thought about that. Or, oh, that's a reminder, right? I forgot about that. So that's a great start, talking about it. Because if we keep it all in and doesn't go, I mean, just talk. If it's with your kids or your best friend or your family or your spouse, yourself for sure. Definitely self Reiki. I really promote self Reiki. Definitely. Easiest thing to do. Easiest thing. Simple. Do it as long as you want, every day. I wake up with it. I just, before I even get out of bed. And ask, what can I do that is simple? Because if it's not simple, you're not going to do it. It's like working out, right? Oh my God, I want to go work out and I want to, do this and this and this. I'm like, okay, are you going to do that? So it might start out, okay, I'm going to go on a walk for 10 minutes. So it's the same with Reiki. Maybe you do it for a short time. Maybe you're just like, oh yeah, when I brush my teeth, I'm going to do Reiki. Or, when I'm in the shower, I'm going to think about Reiki and kind of rinse off and bring in, or however you want it to be. But for sure, it's whatever resonates with you. And if it does not, I mean, if you are telling yourself, oh, I really need to teach, and it's just not happening, don't give it up, but you can set it aside and do other things. So I think that guilt really stifles people. I think that it really stops people. It kind of freezes you up. It's like, oh, now I don't have to think about it because I totally just said I wasn't going to do it. I would just say set it aside for now and see what comes in. And even inviting Reiki, like, when is this going to be a good time? Am I going to meet somebody? Is there going to be an invitation, like a wellness fair, or, someone needs a speaker or something? And say yes. Say yes. And even when it's uncomfortable, like, the other day, Colleen goes, hey, you want to do a podcast? I go, yes. And I'm like, then after that, I'm like, what? But it's expansion, right? Because we could put it on schedule for July, and I'll be like, oh yeah, good. I don't have to think about it. But sometimes it's good to think about it, or not think, just do it. And as Colleen and Robyn have told us many times, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? It is what it is. And some people will get an idea or a message, and some people will just turn it off. I mean, it's all fine. It's all fine. But just go forward. Say yes when you can, when it feels good, and ask yourself, I started out using a pendulum. Is it yes or no, right? I mean, now I don't necessarily need that. Now I have it differently. But that would, or we do the, what's it called? The muscle testing. Is it yes or no? Yes or no, right? I mean, there's all different kinds of different muscle testing. If you just don't understand, journal about it, write about it, ask Reiki, ask for your guides. We all have them, in my opinion. But yeah, do it as easy as possible, yet have that space for growth. Yet have that little space, even if it's like, hey, I can't do the Reiki share this week. Can you do it for me? Do it. It's okay, right? Just do it. I mean, I've been asked a couple of times, hey, I can't be in the certain thing. Can you do this? Yes. And as you keep doing it, it's easier and easier and more fun. And if you don't like it, right, then don't do it. Like if it doesn't resonate with you anymore, then you know. But it's not your mind telling you, it's your actions telling you. It's your actions being like, actually, I don't like driving over here and doing this. And I have to drive over here to work out. And then I have to check in. And then I have to go down to and put my clothes away. And then I have to go up and work out. Then I have to go check out. I'm like, there's no way I would do that. I has to be like in and out, easy for me, and then I'll do it. And so I think that's my advice is do it. I mean, so many clients that I've had, they're amazing Reiki practitioners, really gifted. And that's what I tell them. I'm like, just start doing it. You don't, just start doing it because everything that you're learning is going to get more fun and more interesting. Instead of keeping it here, like I'm not as good as Colleen or Robyn. I don't talk like you. I don't do this like that. Okay, good. Good. I mean, it would be horrible if we all just like vanilla ice cream, right? It'd be like, ugh. I mean, bring it in, take it. I mean, from all of us. If we have anything to offer, please, that's why we're out here.
Well, I think
So,
that is such good advice, and be realistic about
yeah,
timing and expectations, comparison. That was something you talked about at the beginning, was comparison, and then discovering that truly Reiki works your way. That
yes.
is the biggest piece to me.
Absolutely. You just reminded me too, not only the timing, but for some people, it's like thinking you can juggle so many balls.
Yeah,
And when we have so many, like I want to do Reiki and I want to do sound healing and I want to do reflexology and then I'm gonna start my new class and I'm gonna do. It's like, so my advice is kind of hone in a little bit and get that snowball rolling, right? Hone in on this, like do a Reiki share or go to a Reiki share. Start out, but when we have so much, then it gets so overwhelming. Like you said, it's like, what is practical? What is
yeah,
practical? And even like you and I've had conversations, even if a situation is very practical, but life experiences make it not practical. So you're like, oh, it's even a class or some, or, emails that have to get answered. However, there's a big life experience going on. Be like, do what you can do,
yeah.
right? I mean, don't just do what you can do. It'll all be okay. And I hear that all the time when I start getting like, oh my gosh, I should be able to do this and this and this. And you're like, well, actually, you're going through a really big life experience. And so you don't have to do that today. And I'm like, woof. But if we could tell ourselves about that with our daily life, it's just really helpful.
Yeah, to sort through your priorities and
Yeah.
what's realistic and practical. And like you say, what's easy and fun, and you want to do it, maybe you're hesitant about it, but you do know you want to say yes, and then just say yes.
Yep.
Mhm.
That little fear factor is great to have. That little, I mean, we call it anxiety. Some people will say, "Oh, I'm so anxious," but are you anxious or excited?
Yeah,
And especially you've been thinking about it for a while, and it comes up, and you're like, "What? What? I've been thinking about it, like be careful what you wish for type of thing. And so when
Yes.
it comes up, I mean, as I get older now, I'm like, when things like that come up, I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, my God, it's so amazing. And I like crying and smiling at the same time. But, that's life.
Like, why did I say yes? And just so everybody knows, after all these years, I can still have that. Like,
Mhm.
why did I say yes? And here I am, and now I'm nervous. And sometimes I'm so surprised when I'm nervous that it's like, why am I nervous? But then, like you say, the really, really kind of internalizing the awareness that it's not about that. It's not about me being nervous. It's about being able to share what Reiki can do for myself, whoever it is that I'm engaging with, or for whatever reason.
Right.
Mhm. Well, tell us more about how to get in touch with you for people they know, that if they reach us, we do answer also, but Danni does, so much work with us. But if people want to have a Reiki session with you for themselves or for their animals or children, how do they reach you?
Right now, you can reach me via email at Danni, Danni, at ReikiLifestyle.com. And soon I'll have other ways to get a hold of me, but that's the best way right now.
And you are on our website in our about page. So if
Yes.
anybody wants to read more about her, but also the consultation that she was talking about, you can get in touch with her for a consultation about sessions with her or any other Reiki questions that you have too. Again, Robyn and I are both available, so it's not like we don't talk to anybody, but also, it's really such a gift for us that we have Danni, that it gives us the opportunity to even provide other kinds of resources, that because she's taking care of those things. But you can reach her at Danni at ReikiLifestyle.com, and then also through Colleen at ReikiLifestyle.com. Are we doing info? I haven't really quite adopted the info, but
It's all of them. Info at reikilifestyle.com, Danni or Colleen.
mhm.
And then, yeah, like you said, the consultation page, because sometimes what people need too is a session. So they can do the consultation page. They might not know what they're doing next. And sometimes the additional session is what they need. And you figure that out through the consultation as well.
Yes.
Classes. And then Danni is also always a part of our distance Reiki share that we hold every Tuesday morning. Those are free, they're open to everyone. They are like a session because we do a lot of invocations, journey work, and information in those. And those are also posted on our YouTube channel if you can't be there live. But those are free and global. Danni's always there too. So you can meet her there as well. And also, she assists in our Next Step and 12 Heavens, Explore the 12 Heavens classes too. So those we're right in the middle of. They start again next January. But anyway, so many of you that are listening to this will already know her. If you don't know her, you want to.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I think that's a wrap. So, Danni, thank you so much from
Thank
our
you
heart
so
to
much.
yours. Thank you for everything you do for all of us and
Of
for
course.
our whole community. You really
Thank,
do make a difference.
thank you. Very grateful.
Thank you to all the listeners. We appreciate you and our community through all the different ways that we share Reiki together. So thank you also always for being here. All right, and thank you, Robyn.
Thanks, everybody.
All right,
Bye.
bye, everyone.